Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings Week 1 NFL DFS is here, and I'm going to show you my top 5 players that project for under 5% owned in tournaments here in Week 1. If you want to get yourself to the top of a tournament, you have to find some plays that are a little bit off the beaten path. 2 roads diverge into a GPP wood, and you should choose the one that's less traveled by. Not me. So we're going to go and look at 5 different players. I got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. I try to split it up amongst the positions. I never use a quarterback because quarterback percentages aren't very high anyway, and they aren't that big on leverage either. So finding those running backs and wide receivers specifically who have chances at 25 to 40 point DraftKings days is very, very important. So thank you guys for being here, and let's go.
He's a legend.
I know that you're a competitor and I know that you want to compete, so make sure that you join the Smiz Gang Listener League. It rides again in Week 1. We're at 2,144 entrants right now. We're recording this on Friday afternoon, and this video, if you're watching it, just went live on Saturday morning, so there's probably less available seats than this. Let's get this thing filled. 3 max, $10, absolutely no rake. 100% of the money paid in goes back out to the players. So we have to fill this if we want it either to stay the same size, or if we fill it really early by like Saturday night, then it might get bigger for Week 2. More money to you guys with a fantastic payout arc. 10% of the prize pool goes to first, 10% of first goes to 10th. Really flat payout to get as many people in the money with a significant payout as possible. And I will shout out the top 10 on Monday's recap video on the Fantasy Football channel at smizzle.tv/FF. If you wanted to join the Listener League, the link is right down below in the pinned comment. It's also in the description. The cheese is under the sauce. Smizzle.tv/links will give you all the links that you need to the Listener League, to our Discord, to the FF channel, and everything else that I do. Best Buys, all of it's in there. One place, one-stop shop. Smizzle.tv/links. The first player that we're going to talk about is Dalvin Cook. I've got him at 4.5 projected percentage on the weekend. It's Week 1, guys, so I'm going to need a little leeway when it comes to the percentage projections because, one, there's a lot in flux so far right now. If you watch the Lineup Builder show from Friday, you know that there's a lot of if-then statements. Maybe those have been cleared up by the time you're watching this video. Maybe they haven't, but based on projections right now across the multiple sites that we are partnered with here, Establish a Run, Fantasy Labs, rotogrinders, these projections on percentages is kind of where these players are right now at this snapshot in time. So Dalvin Cook under 5% has as good a ceiling as any other running back on the slate. The JTs, the Christian McCaffreys, we know that he's got this 30+ point ceiling, 25+ point ceiling that he can access, especially in a game against Green Bay where nobody's playing him, even though they are at home, even though the Vikings are close. It's not a favored situation, but like this is a 2-point edge right here for the Packers. People are shying away, in my opinion, because one, the price is weird. He's priced around the same point as like a lot of other expensive running backs. They're going to pay up to this point. They're paying up for like Austin Eckler or Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor if they want to go very high, or coming down to like Joe Mixon at 7,100 and cheaper than him. So Dalvin Cook's just in an awkward price point, and sitting there, one, is making him contrarian, and two, the fact that he is going up against Green Bay, who has one of the tougher defenses in the league on paper. People don't want to play him. So this is where you're going to find yourself at running back. Running back is a tougher position to find lower played plays. It's kind of flat on the percentage arc this week. The people are going to play a lot of different players this week. It's not going to be very concentrated with like a 40% running back and a 30% running back. There's no super glaring mispriced value, and nobody has really priced up a ton to force you on to mid-range or cheaper guys. And there's enough value at wide receiver that everybody can afford. Like cash games, you're going to see a lot of cash games this week that have Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey, which means you're going to see some tournament lineups that have both with team jam them in type capabilities because of the value at wide receiver. And that's leaving Dalvin Cook in an underplayed situation this week in Week 1. Love the ceiling. Love the fact that he's got this really low percentage. The second one right now is at 5%. Okay, he is sitting at 5% on projections. This could go up by the time this video previews. If it does, cut me some slack. He's not going to be like 15 or 20. He may go up to like 6 or 7 or 8. James Conner is in a fantastic spot. Fills out 4 of the 5 boxes, playing at home, 20 touch expectation, might have an elevated expectation on targets with Rondale Moore suffering a hamstring injury just yesterday on Thursday, but they are underdogs in this situation, and underdog running backs don't tend to perform as well as running backs that play from ahead. But that doesn't mean just because they're underdogs in this game, they are 4-point underdogs to the Chiefs, does not mean that they are going to necessarily be behind the whole game, or that they'll be behind double digits where they have to completely abandon the run. James Conner, since they got rid of Edmonds, right? Since Edmonds got hurt middle of last season, since he kind of shook off the problem from early in the season where he was only getting carries, no targets, and you were very touchdown reliant on him. Once he got that usage in the passing game, his yards per game went way up, right? His targets per game went way up. Now with Edmonds in Miami, we have a situation with Conner where there might be even more elevated target percentage this week because of the injuries. Zach Ertz also not practicing most of this week, which could lead to more targets going to Conner, but it could also lead to more players finding him as well. So right now he's 5%. If he stays there, great. If he moves up a couple of ticks, that's fine. He's not going to be chalk either way. He's going to be further down the board, so we can get some tournament leverage on the more chalky running backs with James Conner at 7,000 on DraftKings. If you haven't already, go click the link in that pinned comment, smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. They have great products over there, fantasy lineup builders, every sport, NFL, college football, NBA when it gets here, still MLB, golf every week. They have an all sports plan, which is $70 a month, 6 months, which is your best value at $250. Or if you're an NFL only player and not really concerned with playing those other sports, this is the only place you can get an NFL only subscription is through my link. That's $40 a month. You got great tools in terms of lineup builders and projections. Go check out the great tools that they have over at Fantasy Labs and support the people that support the channel. DEEBO Samuel. This one's going to fire some people up. You said don't draft DEEBO Samuel. I know it, streamer. I'm not doing it. You said don't draft him. DEEBO Samuel is projected at like 1%. 1%. It's never about the player. People really need to understand this. I never hate the player. DEEBO Samuel is a fantastic football player. DEEBO Samuel will probably see some regression this year in terms of scoring running touchdowns from outside 25 yards, right? Let's say he'll score less touchdowns in 2022 than he did in 2021 on running plays that originate from outside the 25-yard line, okay? Can we at least agree on that? That is something that is not sticky from year to year. However, this is not a season-long draft. This is not a week, a 16 or 17 ADP. This is a player who's got 25 to 35 point potential and could potentially see more volume through the air in week 1 than he would have with George Kittle missing practices all week and probably not going to play on the week 1 slate, which means more targets for DEEBO Samuel, which means more targets for Brandon Ayuk on a team that's really not going to throw the ball all that much. So if you're saying they might throw the ball 20 or 25 times against the Bears and 3 guys are splitting those targets, I like it better if only 2 guys are splitting those targets. Much more likelihood of him having a 7 to 10 target game without Kittle than if Kittle and Ayuk were both there. So DEEBO Samuel's still going to get his heavy usage. He's obviously going to get carries. I would prefer that he would get more targets than carries, but they're going to do what they do in that Shanahan offense. But if you're telling me that a player with a 25 to 35 point ceiling is going to be at 1%, this is the epitome of the perfect 5 under 5 player, high ceiling player at a very, very low percentage owned in tournaments. Another wide receiver that's going to be low, Terry McLaurin, projected at 3% across pretty much all sites. Gets a slight upgrade in quarterback play. Terry McLaurin is like the new Allen Robinson in terms of he's just going to play the first half of his career with really terrible quarterbacks. And obviously somebody say, well, how did Allen Robinson do in the first game? Got them. No, didn't get him. That's a weird situation. If you're playing in your friends and family league and you have somebody who's got Allen Robinson and they want to sell him, buy Allen Robinson right now. He is the buy now candidate. Buy him low. Go get him. If you're playing Rainmakers, make sure that you go acquire his card. If people are panic selling him, things are going to move up. That'll be the lowest target total he gets. But looking at Terry McLaurin with improved quarterback play, with going from Heineke to Wentz, McLaurin saw like the most off-target throws in the league last year. He was like one of the league leaders in terms of off-target, uncatchable balls. He is a fantastic talent. This dude can do everything and will likely be one of the league leaders in terms of end zone targets this year, much like he was the last 2. if Terry McLaurin gets more on target throws, that ceiling that he should have comes way more into focus. And at 3%, nobody's going to play him. There are plenty of bring back players on Jacksonville. I'm not going to stack this Commanders offense, but if I can get access to a high ceiling player as part of a one-off or a secondary stack, I'm buying in tournaments 6,500. Definitely not too much money. If you need the relief and you can't get up to DEEBO, I like McLaurin in this spot. And my last play, Double H, Hayden Hurst Helmsley. He is the game. Projected right now under 5%. It's kind of weird. Tight end was the player that I wanted is just out of range for this video. I really wanted Kyle Pitts, but he's projected at like 7 to 7.5%. So I can't use him, even though he would be my him or Andrews would be my two preferred tight ends under 10%. But for under 5, Hayden Hurst. I love this Cincinnati Bengals stack. If you watch the top stacks video, they're literally on the cover for it. And in those stacks, people are going to primarily go for Jamar Chase, and secondarily, they're going to just click T. Higgins. Third, they're going to click Tyler Boyd, which leaves Hayden Hurst as the underplayed proposition in your Cincinnati Bengals stacks, or if you wanted the secondary with a Pittsburgh player and bring it back with Hurst. It fills a very weird position in tight end, and it provides you with value as he's only 3,300. A ceiling for him is less than a ceiling for DEEBO or the other 4 players on this list, but Hayden Hurst, where he's at, if he was to wander into the end zone, get you 4 catches for like 50 yards, that's not a ridiculous game, and that's 15 points at 3.3K, and allows you to spend up on your stack or a different contrarian play around your lineup elsewhere. So thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.